Hi, I'm Myra Kornfeld. I'm a cookbook author and cooking instructor, and I have lots of tips and recipes to make your cooking life a whole lot easier. Today I'm going to show you how to make a collagen-rich chicken bone broth. It uses more bones than a typical stock, but it's a stock that has a lot of collagen, and we want to look at the ins and outs of that. You know your stock is full of gelatin when it wobbles when chilled. A word about the wonderful properties of collagen. There are so many, but today I want to focus on why it's so good for the joints. The reason sometimes for severe joint pain is that the cushion of cartilage protecting your bones could be crumbling, causing your bones to rub up against each other, which is very painful and causes inflammation. Now, collagen is one of the main components of cartilage, so if you boost your intake of collagen, you could really help build that cushion. You get the most gelatin out of joint bones, so I'm going to make a stock with 4 to 5 pounds of bones, and I could use a mix of bones, and today I'm using some carcass, I'm using some neck bones, and my favorite, the feet. The feet have the most gelatin, which is collagen, of any other bones. And when I have a whole pound of feet, I use that, and that makes my stock really gelatinous. I use 1 quart of water per pound of bones. I add a couple of tablespoons of vinegar. I'm using apple cider vinegar today. That helps draw minerals out of the bones. Now, if I have bones that have a lot of meat on them, I roast them. Here I have 1.5 pounds of wings that went into the oven for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. That will give the stock a roasted flavor. This has been sitting here a half hour. As the liquid comes to a boil, you'll notice that there's some impurities that come to the top, so you want to skim those out. So you take a minute or two and skim off the froth. It's really good to have a fine mesh skimmer for this. Now I'm adding my bay leaf and onions, carrots, and celery. You can make it just with bones, but these vegetables just add to the flavor. I'm turning the heat down to very low. I just barely want to see movement. I need to let this go 6 hours to get out the collagen. And then I could keep a lid on this stock since I don't really need to have too much evaporation. When it's been cooking for 6 hours, I'll strain it, put it in containers, cool it, and then I can leave it in the refrigerator for up to a week or freeze it for months. I have 4 chicken legs that I've skinned cooking in some of my bone broth that I've already made, and all that is in the pot is a teaspoon of salt and some fresh thyme leaves. I'm also adding a can of coconut milk, so it's going to just gently poach in this chicken stock and coconut milk mix, with a cup of onions and a couple tablespoons of olive oil over medium heat. These onions are going to cook 5 minutes. Now I'm adding some ginger, about a tablespoon of minced ginger, a teaspoon of coriander, a half a teaspoon of cumin, and a teaspoon of turmeric. I'm also stirring in 2 cups of pumpkin. Any kind of squash will work really well. I've pulled the chicken out of the simmering stock. Meanwhile, I'm adding this pumpkin mixture to my broth, and I'm going to let that cook. I've taken the chicken off the bones, and I'm going to add these bones to our stock. You can use bones from cooked carcasses as well as the raw ones, so make sure if you roast a chicken, and you're not eating it right off the bone, if you're cutting it off, please use it. Save it. Save backbone, save wings, freeze them, and then when you have enough bones, make a stock. The chicken went into the stew. The squash is cooked in that time that I was taking the chicken off the bone. And now to make it a complete 1-pot meal, I'm just adding in a little spinach, which will wilt in the pot immediately. Pinch more salt, black pepper, sprinkle of cilantro for this delicious. You'll find if you start using bone broth regularly, that you'll have very strong nails and you will feel so wonderful. It's very nourishing food.